This is Gilbert Andrew Garcia of A Tip from Gilbert, talk, inspiration, and prayer. Listen to my show every Monday from 11 to 12 on KWWJ 1360 AM, KYOK 1140 AM, KCOH at 1230 KCOH.com, Sangeet Radio at 95.1 FM, 1460 AM, and Latino Sports, KEYH 850 AM. Call in at 832-570-8075 and follow me on social media. See you then. All right, Houston, Harris County, you got me again, Gilbert Garcia, with another tip from me. Talk, inspiration, and prayer. And so thank you, studio audience. And, of course, I have my good friend, Mr. Jarvis Johnson, here with us. Jarvis, welcome to the show again.
Hey, brother. Good to see you.
It's good to see you. We got a lot to talk about.
All right. Let's get right in.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about, Houston, Harris County, because there's lots of things going on in the marketplace. I have some prayers I wanted to read. There's all kinds of things with Christian Ministries, Great Victory. There's all kinds of things to come to talk about. Of course, where you are on the race, but first, and of course, I got to talk about my anniversary in case my wife is listening.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, Dee Dee, if you're out there, you know I love you. And so we're going to talk all about this right now. But I happen to have gotten a couple of prayers from several people, including my good friend, Mr. Roy Melanson. Roy, if you're out there, Mr. Melanson, from the African American News, you may be ornery, but I love you, man. Is he not ornery? But I have seen a sweet side of him, and he always sends me these prayers, and I'm so grateful to him. And he sent me one about a prayer about the storm, and there's some others that he sent, and some other people sent prayers. But Mr. Melanson, if I haven't told you, again, you may be ornery, but man, we love you, and thank you for what you do for the community, and thank you for African American News, which really keeps us up to date all the time. And so I'm going to do a prayer at the beginning and a prayer at the end. So very quickly, this one is just a letter to God. And it says, "Dear God, I'm writing to say thank you." And thank you is really big. It says, "You have been so good to me." Amen to that. "My days are often challenging, but looking back at my life, I see that you have always been with me through the ups and downs. I may not have everything I want, but I have everything I need. Life isn't always easy, but that's okay because I have you, and I'm never alone. I'll be still and trust in your presence in my life. Thank you, God, with all my heart. I will continue to trust you, your living child. Amen." What a nice letter.
Amen.
I don't know who wrote that, but whoever wrote it, that is what they call from the heart, and beautiful. So real quick, so Jarvis, my wife and I, you had said happy anniversary to us. I did one of those things that, I think I got, what do you call it? Husband of the Year, at least for one day.
At
least for one day.
That's right.
And that is one of my good friends, Mr. Martin Cabrera, got a big award from the Robert Kennedy, Ethel Kennedy Human Rights Group, and we went to honor him in New York, and he got honored with Stephen Colbert and Magic Johnson and the head of the Ford Foundation.
Wow.
So this is some pretty heavyweights. And because Martin was one of the guys that was honored, I was able to, sort of shake hands and say hi to Stephen Colbert, and he was so great and gracious. And I wanted to take a selfie with him. Mm-hmm. He goes, "No, I'll do it." He took my phone for me, and he did the selfie. And he did it with Louis Guzman, who's the actor that's been in many movies. He's been in movies for 40 years. He's on Wednesday. He plays the father in the Addams Family.
Oh, yeah.
And he was in Carlitos Way.
Yeah.
Remember when he double-crossed Al Pacino, he says, "Carlitos, you got to think about the future." And he double-crossed him. And then he also plays that hilarious role, that motorcycle cop in We Are the Millers. He did a lot of great things. Well, his son is a producer and is one of the producers of Wednesday.
Really?
So I was able to spend time with him, and I was able to spend time with Louis. So we have all in a picture. And they had an auction item that was to spend time with Stephen Colbert at one of the shows, and afterwards to take pictures with him on the desk and to hobnob with him. And I said to him, I said, Mr. Colbert, he goes, call me Stephen. He's really great about that. And he said, I said to him, I'm going to win this. And I was determined, no matter what, I was going to do it. And of course, we got it. And I gave it to my wife for our anniversary, and she was so thrilled. So I have all these great pictures I'm going to put on social where we're there.
Because she loves Stephen Colbert.
Oh, she gets all her news from Stephen Colbert. So if you want to know anything that's going on,
she gets edutainment from it's edutainment.
Say that one more time.
Edutainment.
You know what? You're right. You're right. So I'll talk more about that later on in the show, because I want to get you in this conversation and I know we have someone that's already on hold. I believe it's someone that's a candidate for Council District C. But I want to come back to the big race, which was this past weekend. And by the way, this morning, in case I look tired, Houston-Harris County, I was on CNBC this morning at 4:30 our time, which was 5:30 East Coast time, because it was the beginning of the whole CNBC. And so I had a great time on CNBC. They're always very kind to me by putting me on air. But what a big race for Christian ministry.
Yep.
Big race.
Big win. Big.
And no, what's interesting about it is not only is it, thank goodness, CD18 is going to have, a person to have their voice in Washington.
So we hope.
Tell us more about that. I mean, is there some doubt? I mean,
there is. They did this before, so the Republicans, the margins are so narrow, and now there's a 2-member margin right now, and when this race is concluded, and then they are sworn in, and it's a 1-member vote difference. So we're on a partial lockdown. Remember last time the speaker would not swear in the congressperson that was in Arizona, and so they kept her out for 3 months.
Come on.
So, and just use excuse after excuse after excuse, because so many different things are going on. And so it's certainly important for all of us across this country, if we want to see democracy stay in place, that Christian certainly needs to be sworn in right away, and let democracy work. Stop cheating. Stop. Oh, well, we're not going to let them in because we don't want the seat has been vacant for close to a year now, and so it'd be so very unfortunate if they don't swear them in right away.
Well, I communicated with him, and he's already on his way to D.C. So that's why he's not able to call in Houston-Harris County, but he wanted to just say thank you to everyone in Houston and Harris County for their support, because, of course, he's a county attorney. And he wanted to say to CD18, thank you very much. And, and for him, this whole, I don't want to say merry-go-round, but this whole thing isn't over.
Right.
go through that with us, because he's got another election, and then he's going to serve, and go through where we are.
So there's because this was a special election, and special was to fulfill the remaining term of the late Sylvester Turner, but then the midterms are happening in March, and so you have to run again, and so it was almost like he was back to back, and then because they combined the 9th and the 18th, that means Al Green is now in the 18th. It's actually the territory changed in terms of, but his house didn't. So he still lives in the 18th, and so he'll be running for the 18th. But he'll have to continue to run. He's literally been campaigning for
like
a
2
year.
years, right?
Yeah, like as soon as Sylvester passed, I think in March, boom, he's been running ever since.
Well, it's just, and of course, Amanda's been running longer than that in many ways, because, and that's not a stab at her or anything at all. It's just a fact. And, of course, she's a good person. At the end of the day, it was a big win, not only because now we will have a voice, or hopefully we'll have a voice, for all the residents of CD18. And every congressional district's about, what, 700,000 people, more or less?
800,000.
800,000 people. I mean, that's a big number.
That's big, huge.
That's huge. Because what is it in a state rep? Like when you were state rep?
300,000.
So it's about half, more or less.
Yeah.
That is huge. And, it's really, a full-time job, right? To be a state rep, and even though it's not, quote unquote, it's not a full-time job, it kind of is.
Yeah, it is.
Because you're out there. Everyone wants to hear from you. Everyone wants constituent service. I mean, am I right?
Yeah, and it's when I became a state rep, I had already been a city council member, and so people knew me, and they knew the work that I had done as a city council member, and so of course when I won, first thing was like, hey, I need you to come over here and deal with this trash, and I was like, no, that's not that's not the role of a state rep. We don't deal with trash issues, we don't deal with park issues, we don't deal with dogs or horses or any of the myriad of things that people would call me for. And so it took some time before people started realizing, oh, he's my state rep now. His job is to create the laws, not to, do the, everyday code enforcement of trash pickup or, parks and things like that. So
I bet you people still see you and they say, Mr. Johnson, can you please help me because, I need a speed bump right here in my front yard.
Well, I do still get a lot of calls and people will, ask for different things. But I think that's a tribute to the fact that we were able to get things done.
Yeah.
And so oftentimes people would call and say, I know this is not in your, in your purview. I know this is not what you do, but can you help? And so we would have to pick up the phone to make calls to the city council members or, make calls to the congressional offices.
But you're a good man to do that because you could easily say, it's not my job.
Right.
But you know what? When you've been a public servant as you have and you care as you have and do, that's what you do.
You have to serve. I mean, I have a heart for service. I've always, served. My mother, used to work for the late Congressman Mickey Leland, and so I would watch the work that she would do and see the work that Mickey would do, and so you got to just have a heart for service, and you never turn people down. You never turn them away. If you can help in some form or fashion, you're going to do that. Just to point, say, look, let me point you or steer you in the right direction. I can't take the responsibility on my own, but I will, certainly help get you wherever you
sometimes that's 90% of it is to figure out, well, who the heck do I call?
Right.
And whose domain is it for this? Is it state rep? Is it the mayor? Is it is it at-large council person? Is it my council person? I mean, you don't know.
Right.
So going back for a second, what I meant by it was a big win, of course, we had the election and there were, many candidates, and ultimately Amanda Edwards and Christian Minifree were the two top vote getters, and we had this past Saturday, we had early vote, etc., but we had the final election day, and the numbers were in, and now Christian is going to be our new congressperson, at least to fill this term, which goes through, if I'm not mistaken,
the end of December.
The end of this year.
The end of December.
And it was a pretty big win because he got, I'm reading the numbers here that I got off of the
Harris votes.
Yes, the unofficial results. And it says here that he got 16,174 votes to Amanda's 7,478. So it was a 68-31 spread. That's a pretty big spread.
It's a huge spread. It's very, very, very surprising.
Isn't it?
It's certainly a tribute to Christian's work ethic and his ability to resonate with the voters and even to get some of the endorsements. I joke with him at the victory party, and I was like, how did you get Tallarico and Jasmine Crockett to endorse you? That just generally doesn't happen.
That's right.
And they're running against each other.
That's right.
So it just generally does not happen. And so, but he had a lot of support across the board, and I think, again, he touched the voters the way they needed to be, and he got their attention. And so that's a very impressive victory.
I mean, that's come on, that's big.
Yeah.
That's big. Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, I think that bodes well for him going into March.
Yeah.
And then, of course, March is just the primary, and then whoever wins in March has to run again in November. Holy cow. Can you imagine that?
Well, because these districts are, quote-unquote, safe Democratic districts, you'll find that a lot of the energy and a lot of your money will be spent in March.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? For me, while I'm running for CD29, and it's a very safe Democratic district, although there will be, I think, a young lady running, but
on the Republican
the
side.
likelihood of it's just almost it's nil, right? But you have to keep running. You have to keep running because you want constituents to come out and vote. That's how you win statewide seats. I think Democrats have failed because we do have safe Democratic seats, and so we kind of coast. They kind of coast. See, I always ran, and that's why when I was a state rep, I always had the one of the highest voting districts in Harris County amongst the state reps, because I continued to work throughout the year.
Oh, is that right? You mean in voter turnout? Is that what you mean?
Voter turnout, because I wanted to make sure, because politics are all local. People want to be able to touch their electors. Oftentimes, somebody's running for governor or running for Senate. They don't get a chance to come around and shake every hand, right? So they don't really have a connection, and so you're not really compelled. You'll see the voters are not compelled to come out and vote. So that's why it's important that we continue to work all the way through. So yes, you have a race in March, which is you're probably your most contested contest,
right?
But then you turn around and you run in November against your Republican opponent, but it won't be hotly contested because the race, the population is going to be mostly Democratic.
But it's interesting because I remember people vividly saying Ed Emmett's going to win. There's no one's going to run against Ed Emmett. And then you had Lena Hidalgo, who was at the time, I believe, 27 or something like that. And all of a sudden, bam.
Yeah.
And so, like anything else, as they say when you're a sprinter in track, you got to run through the tape.
Run through it.
Because you got to run through it. You got to run hard because you just don't know.
Yeah.
And you don't want to take anything for granted. And there's stories about people who left money in their account and then all of a sudden they didn't win. And they should have spent it and they should have, been out there. So that's a word to the wise.
That's right.
But I totally hear you, and I know that's what you do.
Yeah. You never leave bullets in your gun. If you're in war, you don't save your bullets. For another. No,
that's right.
I'm shooting it all.
That's right.
I'm not going to wait, and So at the end of the day, you always have to be ready, and you got to use everything you got. So, but I think that's important. So if you look at some of the Democratic finance reports, you'll see a lot of Democrats are carrying a lot of money. It's just absurd. It's like, I understand the necessity to have money for your campaign. You can always raise more. But if you're using that money properly, this is how we win statewide seats. This is how we can get a U.S. senator here in Texas. This is how we can win the gubernatorial seats and the lieutenant governor and all the statewide seats. But you have to be able to continue to run all the way through November so that you engage the voters, and that's how we will turn this state blue. Because I truly believe it is blue. It's there, but we just got to get the voters out.
Amen to that. Hold on, we have a caller. Is there Mr. Joe Panzarella? Hopefully I said that correctly there, Joe.
Hi, can y'all hear me?
We can hear you, Joe. This is Gilbert Garcia with former state rep and former councilman Jarvis Johnson, who's now, of course, a candidate for Congress. What do you got for us today, pal?
Amazing. Well, Gilbert, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for your service on the Metro Board. I wanted to make sure I called that out. I appreciate the platform to talk to neighbors across District C. My name is Panzarella. I'm a grassroots organizer. I'm a renewable energy developer, and I'm running for Houston City Council District C because we deserve safer streets, more affordable places to live, and a city government that listens and works with residents, not around them. My question for y'all today is the following. Many cities know what fixes work to reduce traffic deaths, lane reconfigurations, protected crossings, traffic calming, but lack funding or flexibility, especially Houston, where our budget is very tight right now. What would you do in Congress to help cities access safety funding faster and with fewer strings attached?
Very good. So, Congressman, I'm a little too early. I'm sorry.
Nope. As God said, you claim that.
What can at the federal level? I'm going to just reframe the question a little bit. What can we do at the federal level to do something about sort of congestion, traffic, safety, et cetera?
Number one, you got to stop people from moving into the city. Just too many people moving in all at one time. So we have to slow that down. But I think when you look at how do we get the money that is necessary for transportation or for education or infrastructure, all those things. I think it comes with a plan, number one. It starts with a plan that everybody has bought into. So as the congressman for Congressional District 29, I want to sit down at the table with all of the elected officials that are represented within the 29. That's the city council member. That's the county commissioner. That's the state representative. That's the state senator. Those are the school board members. It's the college board,
That's probably never been done
college.
before.
No, it hasn't. And so what we're doing and what I want to do is to pull everybody together, and we're going to look at what are the four pillars, what I believe is the foundation of any great community, and that is housing, education, infrastructure, and business. You have to figure out where do we stand with this. So what's the money that we need for education, and we're bringing in the school board members, and because I don't want to operate from a position to say, you need this and you're going to get that, and then you don't give the community what it needs. So again, once we're doing that, we got infrastructure. We're knowing exactly what we want in infrastructure. We've done the plan. We've sat down with TxDOT and we sat down with all of our elected officials, and we came up with a solid plan. So when I get to DC, I have my playbook, and I'm going, and this is exactly where I know my team is going to go be looking for money to bring back to the district.
Amen for that. So, Joe, I'm going to give you my answer, although obviously Mr. Johnson's answer is much more important than mine. But as a former Metro chair, I could say one thing. We need more federal dollars for transit here in this community. And what's been a terrible travesty is we've had a whole series of people that have been doing one thing. How can we prevent the inner city from growing, and how can we prevent mass transit from being successful? And it goes back to Tom DeLay, John Culberson. You got people like Bill King that write about it all the time. They're like obsessed. You had a guy named Paul Magaziner who was obsessed. At the end of the day, if we all came together to say, by the time you look at these freeways and by the time you finish them, they're already obsolete because the cars will fill them already. And what about all the smog? And what about the wasted traffic time? And for people who say mass transit here is not working, that is false. It doesn't even really go anywhere. But at the end of the day, you couldn't have the World Cup. You couldn't have the Super Bowl. You couldn't have the rodeo. You couldn't have the Texans without that rail line that really goes almost like nowhere. It's just a 7.5 miles inner city, and then we finally branched off into some of the neighborhoods. But it doesn't connect the three financial centers. It doesn't connect Greenway, and it doesn't go to Uptown yet. And so at the end of the day, you couldn't have a successful event of that magnitude if you didn't have the ability to take that red line. Because think about all the people, I don't know if you've been to the rodeo, you can't even get there if you're there on 610 or trying to get there. And so at the end of the day, it makes it work. So we need more federal funding, not less. And I'll give you, Houston, Harris County, one more thing, which is when I became Metro Chairman in 2010 with the great Anise Parker that appointed me, at that time, the federal subsidy was if you put in $1, meaning the local funds, the federal government put in $1. By the way, you know what it used to be? Jarvis, you know what it used to be? It used to be if you put in $1, the feds gave you $4. Mm-hmm. So imagine that $1 was $5 worth of expenditures. And that's how all the great systems were built all over the country, but not here because of all the politics and all that sort of nonsense. And we've wasted out on all kinds of federal subsidies, all kinds of federal monies. And when you build a light rail or anything else in transit, it's not just getting people from here to here. You're redoing the whole streets. You're attacking the flooding. You're putting in better sidewalks. It's a massive thing. You're building capacity in your engineering world and your electricians, all these people that are part of the whole process. So at the end of the day, my answer is you've got to spend more money, not less, on transit. But let me go back to something because you've been so kind to ask us a question. I really want to do the opposite, which is what's your number one or two things that you want to do in District C?
I appreciate that. Thank you for the question. Our campaign really is a quality of life campaign. And my two biggest priorities for running are street safety and affordability. In District C in particular, we've seen more cars have killed Houstonians than homicides last year. And District C has the highest median rent of any district in Houston, which probably doesn't come as much of a surprise. So I'm running to be able to work with the Terzians, the management district, with our state government and the federal government to really solve those street safety issues and our affordability crisis.
Well, let me give you one more hit there for yourself, which is, why don't you give everybody, if they want to know more about you and the campaign and everything else, what's your website and what's all that?
Amazing. Thank you so much. Our website is joeforhouston.com. We have been out block walking already. We were in Oak Forest yesterday afternoon. Our first block walk in the Heights will be this Saturday, February 7th at 10 a.m. at Love Park. We'd love to see you all there. We've already reached over 2,000 doors with this campaign. It's grassroots, it's volunteer-led, and we're really optimistic about this.
Very good, Joe. And you know what? You got the best website ever. Joe for Houston. I mean, you know, that's super good. Well, thank you for calling in. We wish you the best of luck, and you're welcome to call in anytime, my friend.
Thanks, Joe. Have a great day. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Now, he did not mention it, but Jarvis, so the council people, now that's going to fill a council seat, right?
Yeah,
So
I think
is that
Abby
a-
came in,
yeah,
has
right?
resigned to run for county attorney.
So when is that election? Maybe I should have asked him. Do you recall? Well, we'll see if we can get someone on the producer to find out when is this election on District C, and is it one of those situations where you're only going to serve a partial term and all those sorts of
Well, yeah, you will.
right?
It would be the remaining term of whatever.
Yeah, of hers.
Yeah.
Of Abby
Of
Kamen.
Abby Kamen.
Well, at the end of the day, let's see if we can fact check that for our good friends here in Houston and Harris County. And so I've got April the 4th?
April 4th.
It's April 4th. So all of you that are in District C that hear this, April 4th is your election to fill that seat, which is frankly around the corner.
Yeah, it's going to be right after the
Right.
March midterms, and so it's going to be another one of those situations where communities are like, "What in the world is happening again?" We have to continue to do these back to back to back, and it really stagnates the growth of the community, because you'll find that the voting populace will be so low, because I'm
Yep.
sure on April
Yep.
4th, that's going to be the only thing on the ballot.
Yep.
And so it's not going to be a lot of people going in. And that's so unfortunate, because then you'll see that the smallest group will make the determination for the largest populace of the people. And then you just don't really get a true indicator of what, the
What the people
community-
need
That's
and
right.
what they want. You know
That's
what's
right.
interesting about that, Jarvis, is I'd like to think I'm educated, and I'd like to think that I'm informed. But at the end of the day, I can't keep up with all these elections.
Me neither, brother.
I just cannot, and I
Me
cannot,
neither.
and I just cannot keep up with them. And you know what? I hate to say this, but I'm becoming exhausted. It seems like there's like an election, seems like once a quarter there's an election now or something.
Unfortunately, it's I think a couple.
Is
of
it by
factors.
design?
I think it's a couple of factors. Number one,
Go.
I think a lot of times it's we're shooting the Democratic Party is shooting itself in the foot, because unfortunately you're finding that we have an older elector, and we had two that passed away recently, and we see all across the country, you'll find a lot of Democrats and Republicans are dying in office. And so that opens the door, and so then you'll have kind of a domino effect, because then you'll find that people who are already in office are now running for those seats, and then they have to resign from their seat, and then somebody else gets in there. So it's almost like a domino effect. And so I think, number one, you have to get to a point where we're starting to see more younger, energetic. I'm not ageist. I'm not having this
Right.
ageism thing. That's not my point. I'm never going to say you got to put, term limits on how old you can be to run. No, that's left to the voters. But I do think it's the responsibility of the electors to make sure at some point they stand down and pass the baton. Because myself, I'm 53 years old, and I won't be in office past 63. I'm going to pass the baton. I want to make sure that we're grooming somebody's coming behind, somebody is, so we can create a succession plan. Now, again, it's still left up to the people to make their determination on who they vote for, but at least we have somebody prepared, because you don't want to get into office and then there's a free-for-all, and then all the progress that you made is then thrown out the window,
Right.
and you start all over. So it's almost like having some continuity, and so you want to be able to continue the progress that was already there. So I think it's important for us to do that as a party, to have that kind of success. But on the other spectrum, part of the spectrum, it is by design here in Texas, and that is to discourage the voters, to keep the voting populace down. Republicans are able to stay in office because of the confusion, because of the intimidation, because of the all of the shenanigans they use. Texas has one of the lowest voter turnouts in the entire country.
That's terrible.
And they're doing it
That's
on
terrible.
purpose. And so and that's why they make registering to vote so difficult. That's why they won't, do during COVID. You saw the lengths they went to make sure that people didn't have access to ballot boxes and things like that. And it's just done purposely. And then they're saying, well, we're stopping cheating. Nobody's out here cheating. Nobody's out here stuffing ballot boxes.
That's just made up.
That's how Fox News got sued for $1 billion. That's how Giuliani got sued for $50 million because he accused those ladies in I think Georgia. And they sued him and won. Congratulations to them. So it's just they manufacture this lie to stoke fear into their base, and then their base runs with the lie and says, we're just trying to protect voter integrity. No, you're not. And then, of course, you have a president of the United States who cannot accept defeat, because as long as he wins, everything is great. If he doesn't win, they cheated. The same thing he did even amongst his own party when he was running up against Cruz.
Yep.
And he lost that first primary, and they're cheated. It's like,
well, it was interesting because, of course, there was a Senate district in the Tarrant County, which is Fort Worth, that's a heavy Republican area,
right.
And Trump won by like 17%.
That's right.
And, of course, the Democrat won
That's right.
big. And, of course, Trump had endorsed that Republican candidate, and then now he's saying, well, I had nothing to do with that.
Yeah, of course.
When they now have showed all the things he had put out there on her behalf, why didn't they just say, we're going to learn from this? And it's okay to have a little bit of humility somehow.
There's no
and
humility.
learn.
There's no humility in that dude.
None at all. I want to come back in a moment, but you said something that I think is very important. You used the word succession planning, because Houston Harris County, at my firm, which of course is Garcia Hamilton, and it's not a commercial for our firm, but we manage about $25 billion in assets, and we're a locally owned, meaning we own it. We're only in one office. There's 41 employees. There's 16 of us that own the firm. I'm the largest shareholder. At the end of the day, one of the things that's regularly asked by the community, whether it's potential clients or other clients, is, what is your succession plan? That's always a common question, and we have a succession plan on who will do what, because what if I die in office?
Right.
And so it seems to me a good public policy to have some sort of thought about what is a succession plan. So I appreciate you using that word, and it just dawned on me that we have a succession plan here at our firm, and the marketplace requires us to have one, not under a requirement, because people care so much about who's going to be in charge if something happens. We have to have the answers. We have another caller already. That caller, who was that name again? Jesse. Jesse, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Gilbert.
Jess, you got me, Gilbert Garcia, the Tip for Me Talk, Inspiration, and Prayer with Jarvis Johnson, of course, who's the man with the plan. Of course, he's been a councilman for a long time. He's been a state rep for a long time, and now he's a candidate for Congress. What do you got for us today?
Just first of all, good morning, and watching you on YouTube, and I encourage everybody to watch you on YouTube. It's a great way to watch you live, Gilbert. And second of all, just want to, I was turned on a little late, but I know Mr. Johnson mentioned the area, the district, what neighborhoods it makes up. And number two, the breakdown of the district with regards to blacks, Hispanic, and whites, and Republicans, Democrats. And the third question is, I know you're running against the incumbent, Sylvia Garcia. What makes you more qualified than her to run for office?
Very good, just all great questions. Let me just start with this. I'm going to rephrase them a little bit. But, Jarvis, first of all, what's different in the district? Talk a little bit about what neighborhoods are kind of like out and what's in, or where are the lines as you see them. Let's just educate the listeners.
The district used to be primarily to the east. So if you look at the portion of the district, Pasadena, Galena Park, over there by the Ship Channel, up in Humboldt, Channel View, all of that was the district. So it was primarily to the east. It did have areas of North Line and Greens Point were also a part of that district. Those North Line and Greens Point stayed in the district. The eastern portion of the district has gone away. It is now District 9. So now the new District 29 is everything north of 610, between 59, 45, and 290. And if you, again, put yourself at 59 and 610 on the north, if you travel along 610, you're going to hit 45. You continue to travel along 610, you'll hit 290.
Right.
And then everything north of that, up to 1960 and a little bit beyond, is the district.
So in many ways, for Sylvia Garcia, there's a lot of new people who may not even know her.
Over 70% of the district has changed.
Is that right?
70%.
Then let me go to the next question, which is, talk to us about some of the, and I'm going through Mr. Rodriguez's or Jumpin' Jess, because I know Jumpin' Jess, and thank you for calling, Jess. What are some of the demographic changes? What's different about the district?
So the district,
Go.
old 29th congressional district was 78% Latino, 13% Black. Was it 13% or 8% Latino? I think it was like 8%. I'm sorry, 8% white.
White, okay.
The new district is 43% Latino, 35% Black, and 17% white. So the district has drastically changed.
So you've essentially almost cut the Hispanic in the district almost in half.
Almost in
to
half.
the extent of almost doubling both the white and the African Americans in the district.
You almost tripled because it went from 13 to 30 to
Yes.
35.
That's there. And so let me ask you this: I hear a ring in the background there. Let me ask you this: if you look at that district, the new CD 29, how much of that was in your old district, or tell us a little bit how those overlap?
90% of the district.
No.
I've served 90% of the district.
So in many ways, these people know you
Yes.
more than they may know her.
Yes, absolutely. As a city council member, I was a city council member for District B. District B encompassed the Greens Point area, the Humble area, and of course Acres Homes and parts of that area. And then as a state rep, District 139 sits almost 100% inside of the new district.
No kidding.
The new District 29. So I have represented, and then my business, Aunt B's Restaurant, was right there in the North Line area. And so when I served. So
you served.
I served
with a big S and a little S.
Right. I served as a council member. I served as a state rep, and I served as a restaurateur serving biscuits and great meals. So I've served over 90% of the community, and so they know me very well. And to Jesse's question of what makes me more qualified, I think what makes me more qualified is having the understanding of what the community's needs are. The community knows me. And I think in order to be an effective leader, an effective lawmaker, you have to have empathy. You have to be able to feel what the community feels. The community needs to understand you. You guys have to have some synergy, because if you're not speaking their language, then they're not going to be interested. And so I have to make sure that the community, I feel the community because I live in the community. And so when I show up to candidate forums or civic clubs, I make sure people understand I'm not here because my name is on the ballot. I'm here because I live here. I've lived in this community for over, close to 50 years of my 53 years on earth. So I know the community, I know the schools, I know the churches, I know the precinct judges. I know where it floods. And I know where the infrastructure needs to be placed, right? I know where housing is necessary and needed. I know where infrastructure needs to be put in place. I know how we need to slow down some gentrification. So all of those things are important. You cannot legislate properly if you don't know the community.
Well, what's interesting about everything you just said, hopefully Jess is still there so I could let her have a follow-up, which is everything you just said, you can't learn that. You have to live it.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can't learn it. I mean, yes, you can learn it. You can, say, give me the demographics.
Write that down. I'm going to write that down. You can't learn it. You got to live it.
Thank you. At the end of the day, you cannot just learn it. You can read about it. You can try to, go around and learn from the community. But at the end of the day, you got to live it. And so you have lived it.
Yes, sir.
And that's why for you it's second nature. You can say, well, I know this and I know that because it's just like this. Because you've lived there and you've done that, you've been there, all those sorts of things. Very, very interesting. Well, I'm going to reframe it a little bit different. And I do think we did lose Jumpin' Jess. But the question is this, what would you do different?
In respect to?
What should the members of C29, what should they expect differently from you as their congressperson?
Number one, lots of energy. Lots of energy, bringing a new energy, bringing a new mindset to the area, and certainly a mindset of connectability, being able to connect with the community and stay connected with the community. I've been able to demonstrate that throughout my years as a city council member and as a state rep, because I continue to have town hall meetings throughout the year, and I've done it even outside of being an elected official, because we've just had multiple town hall meetings in the Acres Homes community over the last few months. So I think being connected is one thing that they will get from me. I don't need to call my opponent ugly to make myself pretty. Right. I don't need to talk about them to say that my work is any better or different. I just think it's what I bring to the table. And so I have nothing begrudging to say about Congressman Garcia, but I do believe that it is time for a new energy. I do believe that it is necessary that we have somebody who understands the community and will resonate with the community, regardless of whether it's black, white, Hispanic, Asian or other. You have to connect with the people, and I've been able to represent, as a city council member, the largest portion of my districts have been the Latino community, and so I understand how to make sure that you have people in your office that resonates with that community. Then secondly, a plan, as you've already heard me put together, that understands what our communities need. You can't go anywhere unless you have a roadmap. You have to have a business plan. It's the same way you have to have a mission statement, and those are the things that I want to do to bring to the table. There was a question that was asked to me at the Houston Chronicle screening, and the Congresswoman asked me, and I think it was kind of like a aha gotcha question.
Yeah.
It was like, so what committees do you want? And I said, well, I was a member of appropriation when I was at the State House, and I was a member of Homeland Security, and I think those are two areas that I'll look into. And then she kept asking, well, what about the subcommittees? And it's like, you're harping on this, but that's okay. Yeah. But I will tell you this. I cannot make a decision for a community without talking to that community first. So why should I personally say I want this committee and that committee, but I hadn't talked to the community about what is the desire or what is it that our plan will be. Once I get that information of what my community is, because we're going to be partners. The state rep is my partner. The city council members are my partners. The county commissioners are my partners. The school boards are my, you understand what I'm saying? So once we're sitting down at the table, then we decide collectively, here are the things that we're going to work on.
What's the best thing that you can do for our district?
That's right.
And at the end of the day, those questions, this is going to sound rude, but those are kind of like silly questions. You mean to tell me that that's the best you got when you should be asking about what's important to you for our district and what are you going to be championing for our district, rather than, well, what committee are you going to be on? When
I think it was an aha gotcha, one of those I gotcha, and I was like, I'm not going. But I think when I turned it around and said, I can't make those decisions without talking to my community, without collaborating with my partners. Then from there, I'll make the suggestion, because all it is a suggestion that you can make as a freshman going in. Where do you want to go? So then I'll make the decision based on what my community asks me to be a part of.
Touche. The other thing is, you said something funny, and I know you didn't say it, but the bottom line is, when you talk about your high energy, I can't help but to look at the flip side, and that is, I'll never forget when President Trump was running the first time, and he was running against a bunch of Republicans, Cruz and Rubio, and including Jeb Bush. And once he labeled Jeb Bush low energy, he's low energy. I mean, Jeb Bush just became like just small, and and there he was with no energy. Well, you know what? There is no doubt you have a whole lot more energy than the incumbent. There is no doubt. So it'll be very interesting to see how that goes. We have another caller real quick. Is there Alejandra, I think it was? Real quick, let's get that caller on here. Yes, Alejandra, are you there? Alejandra. Maybe we lost her. If there's another call, just let me know. Alejandra, are you there? Okay, we may have lost her. Alejandra, you've got just only about 10 or 15 minutes to call back, but we're ready to have you back, so just call us back. What's interesting to me, Jarvis, is the Chronicle came out for the Democratic nominee for county judge, and they came out and endorsed Denise Parker. And I'll disclose it to everyone that, I'm very close to Denise, and I love her, and she appointed me. I go back to her when she was city controller to the pension board of the city, and then we've been working together ever since, and that goes way back. And then I was her first campaign chair for mayor, and now I'm one of her campaign chairs for the county judge. And I posted it on Facebook, and of course I boosted it to see what's out there. And I've been trolling my own. I'm the only campaign junkie guy out there. I've been controlling trolling. Trolling means following my own post, and I've been hitting back people when they say things. And just for grins, I just want to share this. So I got 123,000 impressions.
Wow.
Yes. And are you ready for this? We reached 50,000 people.
Wow.
And they're all because I screened it to just be nothing but people over 18 that are interested in politics in Harris County only.
Yeah.
And we had 6,200 engagements, which means 6,200
Right.
people posting things.
Right.
And what I was amazed at is when you hear the term county judge, how many people wrote these things about, well, she's going to be too soft on crime and all sorts of things.
Right.
What's fascinating to me is how little the electorate knows about these actual positions.
Yeah.
And I would say this is not a judicial position. Yeah. This runs Commissioner Court, and they deal with public infrastructure, public safety, and they deal with public health. It was just amazing to me how people just aren't that informed. What can you do to get people to understand that, number one, the district has changed, number two, that the district, you've not just learned about it, but you've lived it? How do you get that word out?
I think number one, you got to put civics back in schools. I think we've moved so far away from civics these days in terms of teaching young people about how government works. But it's the hardest thing in the world, because I think we started this conversation off by me being a city council member and then going on to become a state rep, and people will still call me about city council stuff. So it's truly important that you figure out how do you connect and touch your voters and touch your community. And so I think that's where you use your money in your campaign account and to make sure you're mailing to people, educate them as best you can. But then, there's a difference between woeful ignorance and willful ignorance. And I think there are a lot of people out there that oftentimes want to be willfully ignorant because they want to find ways to criticize you, find ways to blame you for stuff that you have no responsibility for, right? And that happens in politics all the time. I have an opponent that comes on all the time, and he wants to, if you don't feel what your candidate is doing, then he hasn't done anything. It's like, you just haven't lived out here. You don't live in the district to tell me you haven't driven down the streets that the CIP that I created built.
That's right.
But I think there's a willful ignorance and a woeful ignorance, and you just have to help people with the woeful part. And I'm okay with being woefully ignorant. I say that about Democrats, about Republicans, but I think there's so much willful ignorance on their part when it comes to things, because they truly don't want to learn what the truth is. They don't want to learn about women's reproductive rights. They don't want to truly learn about DEI and what it really is. They don't want to talk about finance and how tariffs are destroying our economy. They don't want to discuss it because they want to continue to create their own narrative to say, oh, this is what it is, and so we're going to...
Well, on that note, one of the biggest falsehoods is this whole thing of DEI, and when people say, oh, it's DEI, that means somehow that's bad. No, DEI is nothing more, Houston Harris County, than making sure, as an employer or anything else, you are casting as broad a net as possible to source and find good people. That's really all it is.
It does not say that you got to hire, because
right.
The Civil Rights Act 1965 prohibits anybody from being hired based on their color, race, ethnicity, or sexual orientation.
It just means you got to just cast a broad net to give everyone a chance. That's really all it is.
It simply says, hey, I know you may not think that we have we're welcoming, but you're welcome to apply over here.
Amen.
I'm not guaranteeing you a job. And I say this about, and I try to help people. When I was at the State House, they were dealing with DEI. They said, and I remember this clearly, we're not going to stop these kids and these teachers, and you're going to hire people based on their. And so one day I said, sign this bill. I have an amendment because I want to make sure that every kid that goes to college gets into college on his own merit. And so all the Republicans was like, Jarvis, you get it. I want to sign the bill. And so, because I said, I'm sick and tired of the top 10% rule. I'm sick and tired of these kids getting into school that they didn't earn it, right? Yeah. So they signing the bill, and then I filed it. And boy, once I filed it, they came running. Take me off. I said, why? I thought we didn't want these kids to have this DEI in place. Then it was like, take me off. You know why they wanted me to take off? Because this was for college. Because no student athlete at UT would have been able to qualify to be at UT. So DEI is convenient when you want it to be convenient because kids that are playing sports, well, see, they don't have to have the same grades as the kids that are applying, right? Right. And so all the Republicans say, well, this black kid getting in is taking away this nice little white lady's, she could have got in, but no, well, you didn't mention the 1,000 positions that you gave to the athletes, and so, but you wanted those athletes, and you need those athletes for your $1 billion that you're getting through ABC, CBS, and ESPN, so forth and so on. So it's cool when you're benefiting from it.
That's right.
But again, so that's why I said go back to that.
It's kind of when people say things like, "We don't want the government." No, that's bad, until there's a flood that knocks out their house, and then you know what? Where's the government? I need some. Where's the government to bail me out? But the other thing, if you look at some of the what they call, rightly or wrongly, some of the elite schools, whether it's Ivy League, etc. You know what the greatest DEI is? The children of legacies.
Legacy is what it is.
And guess who they are?
That's right.
The vast majority. And so the whole point is, it's hard to say, all right, we're going to now make the playing field equal from here, when already there are advantages built into society already.
That's right.
And so I just wanted to make sure before we run out of time, because I know we have another caller, and we're going to get this caller in 1 second. I think it's Mark from Houston, I believe. Is Jarvis, tell us again, what's your website and how can people volunteer and all that? I want to make sure you get all that out there.
I appreciate you, and thank you for your platform, brother. It's always great to be here.
My pleasure.
It's JarvisJohnsonForUs.com, JarvisJohnsonForUs.com. Email is info@JarvisJohnsonForUs.com. Please go on the website. And you will see a list of all of our upcoming events and volunteer opportunities, making phone calls, making sure that we're touching our voters, making sure that we keep them informed, kind of cut down on a lot of the confusion. And I think the community is starting to come around now. But now that we're no longer in the 18th, we can focus on being the 29th and helping people understand that we're going to make new history. We're going to create a new opportunity to do the things that they desire to see, and that is to have a community of destination, a well-planned community, and a community that where its leaders know how to come together and get things done. So I appreciate the opportunity to allow me to come on, brother.
Awesome. I love having you. And you know what? While we're going to get this next caller, if you would, my producer, go see if there must be a page on there that talks about endorsements. I just want to get that out there. I think it's important for people to know.
I'm bad on endorsements. My team will. I don't do a lot of endorsement. Here's why, Gilbert.
But I saw your flyer one time.
I do.
And I was amazed at, you had people endorsing you from all sides, the Republican, Democrat, all different levels of government. I just thought it was so impressive.
So when you get endorsements, you not only get their friends, but you get their enemies too.
Oh, I see.
Okay. And so I'm not big on endorsements, but I'll accept it. And of course, I've been endorsed by many of my old colleagues, and certainly, Councilmember Ed Pollard, Councilmember Tiffany Thomas, ministers, school board, Randy Bates, the school board, the list is not in front of me. A lot of them are going to be upset with me if I don't name them all.
We better
many pastors, many precinct judges, many community leaders. So it's all out there.
Amen.
And we continue to push forward because we do want to have a cross section of support. from the Latino community to the Black community to the Asian community to all over. We want to make sure, because we are the true melting pot of this country right here in the city, and that's what the district looks like. And I want to make sure that everybody feels inclusive and included.
One more call I think we have. Hopefully we'll have more than one, but I think it's tight. We have, I hear some feedback there, guys. Let's go to, is it Mark from Houston?
Yeah, how you doing, Gilbert and Jarvis? Y'all doing all right this morning?
Yes.
Hey,
Can you hear me, Mark?
yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Can you
Okay,
hear me?
good. I think, I can. I think the feedback's on your side, but that's okay. You got me, Gilbert Garcia, tip for me with Jarvis Johnson. What do you got for Mr. Johnson today or for Houston and Harris County?
Okay, I got a question, two things for Jarvis. Have you ever been in Congress before? I'm
Nope.
just asking that question.
No, sir.
Okay, great. Okay, so what I want to put out there is that I don't care if you're Republican or Democrats. The people want to talk about how can we get this convicted felon out of the White House. And we all need to come together, Republicans and Democrats, because he's being balanced, unchecked. The Congress, they allow him to do whatever he want to do. You see what I'm saying? And the only way we can strip him for everything, Jarvis, is if we get him impeached, man. If we can get him impeached, we can get him up out of it. Because he done build a hole in a ball, trying to build a ballroom in the White House, which it ain't going to be ready until he's already in 28. What is he sending a message, man?
That he
we
ain't
need to
leaving.
let the people, that's right. So the contention, they want to hear that we're trying to get this man out of here, man. We got to get him up out of there as soon as possible. So that's what I think that people would love to hear.
I wouldn't disagree.
Okay, all right.
Keep going, Mark. So, Mark, let me ask you this: what would you say to the president right now? If you had a 5 minutes with him, what would you say? You got it. Say it right now. What do you want to say to him?
Everybody get the beat right. Get the beat ready.
Okay.
Go.
This is what I would tell. This is what I tell him. I know I've been knowing U-Haul for over 50 years. I'm gonna get a U-Haul and come and move all your stuff out of there for free. For free. And don't worry about the taxpayers paying it, because I'll pay that bill. And I'll take it wherever it needs to go.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Mark, I love you, pal. I'm just hugging you, Phil, because you don't have to worry about no taxpayer. I'll pay for that U-Haul, and if it takes two, I'll bring two U-Hauls.
Okay, there you go. And I'm sure Gilbert will probably help me if we need three. But we gonna get you ain't got to worry about paying for it. That's all I would tell him, because he got to go, man.
Right, he does.
Well, Mark, I'm so glad you called in, and I know you must be driving or something, but you're a good man, and you bring a smile to all of our faces. Please call in again, because we want to have your thoughts. I'm going to call it a tip from Mark. Thank you, my friend, for calling.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So, Jarvis, do we have another caller there, or no? I didn't see. Oh, we do. Let's fit this in real quick. So, who is it? Jordan, are you there? Is there a Jordan there? Jordan, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hello?
Jordan, you got me, Gilbert Garcia, tip from me with Jarvis Johnson. You got about 1 minute or so. Hit us with a question or something for Houston, Harris County. What do you got?
Yes, really quick for Jarvis. I was just wondering, what are his top priorities for the district, and what does he want to do first if he gets elected?
There you go.
Top priorities, again, as I've said, we want to deal with infrastructure, housing, business, and education. We want to continue our work of having our town hall meetings and bringing our seniors together to make sure that they are completely and fully aware and understand what the process is. And then lastly is to make sure that we continue to bring the plan together of our leaders coming together and creating and devising a plan that we can work all the way through. And I think the top priority, obviously, is to get to D.C., bring a new energy to hold Republicans and the president accountable so that we can get them out of office, as Mark has already pointed out. But we have to, I think we have to be encouraging enough to the voting base. So come November, we are going to make sure that we're pulling everybody to the polls so we can win these statewide seats from the U.S. Senate to the governor, the lieutenant governor, and beyond. So we have to, because we're going to need to turn this state blue if we want to see change.
There you go. I'm going to let you think about your last comment. Jordan, thank you for calling in. Please call in again. And, of course, when I'm hungry, I go to Laredo Taqueria, excuse me. That's where I go for my best and delicious carne guisada. I was going to do my last prayer, but you know what? I think I ran out of time because I could hear it. But it was going to be a good one, so I'm going to say it. Next week, I'm going to give Jarvis Johnson, of course, who's really a man with a plan. He's out there. He doesn't just live that district. No, he doesn't just learn that district. He lives it when he talks about his district. Jarvis, you got the last word.
Thank you.
Please look at the camera.
Thank you again. I want to thank Gilbert Garcia. Thank you, the listening audience. Make sure you get out to vote. Early vote starts February 17th. Election day is March 3rd. Vote Jarvis Johnson for CD 29. A new energy. It's a new day with a new direction, but we're going to deliver real results. So go visit us at jarvisjohnsonforus.com and check everything out. Thank you, and may God bless. Thanks, Gilbert.
You're welcome. Houston, Harris County, this is Gilbert Garcia saying we'll see you next time. All right, Houston, Harris County, this is Gilbert Garcia of A Tip from Gilbert, Talk, Inspiration, and Prayer. We're going to now be on television. We will air every Saturday on Comcast 17, AT&T Channel 99, Phonoscope Channel 96, Suddenlink 99, and also hmstv.org. Every new episode every Saturday at 7 p.m. And follow me on social media. See you then.